Hey there guys, I'm SonicGhost, and today we are here to unbox the re-release of Shantae on the Game Boy Color. Shantae was originally released on the Game Boy Color in June of 2002 here in North America. This game came out very late in the Game Boy Color's lifespan. In fact, this was so late in the Game Boy Color's lifespan that at this time the Game Boy Advance has already been out for quite some time. Because of this Game Boy Color game went under the radar, and a lot of people did not get to play this game back in the day. Nowadays, this is a very sought after game on the Game Boy Color, and because of this, it has gotten a re-release nowadays via the Nintendo 3DS eShop. This is how people got to experience the game after so many years, but there were still issues with that version. So now, in today's modern age, Shantae has been re-released on the Nintendo Switch. This is a completely revamped version of the original Shantae, now having save states built in, and this version brings all of the features that the original Shantae had on Game Boy Color to the Nintendo Switch, unlike the 3DS version, which was missing some features from the original. Not just that, but thanks to Limited Run partnering up with WayForward, they were able to make a physical version of the Game Boy Color release of the game as well. So today we are here to unbox not only the re-release of Shantae on the Switch, but the re-release of the game on the Game Boy Color as well. Before we get too far into things, I need to thank my friend Matt's LP Adventures for purchasing the Switch version of this game for me as a gift. I greatly appreciate this one, as I was planning on picking up just the Game Boy Color version physically and getting the Switch version later on, but he provided me the Switch version we have here today, and I greatly appreciate this, buddy. So thank you so much for gifting me a copy of Shantae on the Nintendo Switch. Before we continue on here with this unboxing, I do need to mention that there were collector's editions offered up by Limited Run for the physical releases of Shantae. I opted not to pick up these collector's editions myself, but on screen now you are seeing what came with the collector's editions for both the Game Boy Color and Nintendo Switch releases of Shantae. Overall, these are some very expansive looking collector's editions. They have a lot of items that are very personalized around the very first Shantae entry, and I do find a lot of these items to be pretty cool looking and also just in general nice display pieces. Me personally, I don't really have the room for a lot of this stuff, so this is why I opted out of getting these collector's editions, but I do see the value in owning these. So these are some really cool extras that you got with your physical release of Shantae, and you got different stuff depending on what version of the game you got. Depending if you got the Game Boy Color or the Nintendo Switch physical release of the game, you got different items depending on that release, which I do find to be a pretty interesting and personalized touch. So before we go ahead and open up the original Game Boy Color game, let's go ahead and take a look at the Switch re-release of Shantae. Okay, let's go ahead and unbox the physical release of Shantae here for the Nintendo Switch. So starting off, let's go ahead and take a look at the collectible card that comes with your physical release of the game here. So taking a look at this card up close, we can see it's a very detailed looking card here, one of the sprite artworks from the Game Boy Color game. Looks like Shantae here is using her fireball ability in the game. See, I have card number 131. And it's a nice holographic card. You shine it around with the light here, you get different colors, which is a very nice little touch. If you flip it around here on the back, you got Limited Run's printing here, which is very nice looking. But yeah, that's the collectible card that comes with the physical release. I do like the artwork they chose here for my card. Very nice. But let's go ahead now and take a look at the actual physical release of Shantae. So this game here hasn't been re-released in a very long time. Shantae on the Game Boy Color is one of the hardest games to find simply because it was a very light printing. And outside of the Nintendo 3DS's eShop, this game has never seen another re-release until now on the Switch. So we flip around here on the back, we've seen the nice artwork here on the front. On the back we have our little reading here of the game, little description. We can see a Tinkerbat up here in the top. We got Risky Boots, we got Sky over here in the corner, we got Roddy Tops here, so we got a lot of the main characters in our adventure. Got a little description here of the original game. You can see some artwork here and also some screenshots of the game itself. So there you go. Got some description here on the back telling you what you can do with this game and how you can control it and such, all the usual information. See limited runs printing number here on the bottom, as well as what version this is for different systems and all that. So yeah, I do like on the front you have a limited run little triangle cutout piece here, as it was basically that kind of a logo on the Game Boy Color boxes back in the day. So this feels like a nice conversion of the Game Boy Color artwork into something that we know in today's standard. So that's really nice. So now let's go ahead and crack this bad boy open. Just gonna go ahead, take my knife here just to make this a little bit easier and just go along the side just like that. And now plastic seal is broken. Let's go ahead and take a look on the inside and see what comes inside the case. So inside of the case here, we have ourselves a very nice looking backdrop here. We got a manual on the top and we got ourselves a cartridge. So let's go ahead first and take a look at that artwork. I'm actually going to just slide it out here so we can get a closer look. As we can see, this is a map of all the areas in the original Shantae. It's a very nice looking map too. Very nice looking artwork. It shows you the entire world in just one image. It's really nice. It's a good addition here to have on the back of the cover. So let's go ahead and put that cover back into the case itself. And let's take a look at the manual here first. So this manual is very reminiscent of the Game Boy Color manuals that you got back in the day. In fact, it even has limited run games here printed as it would be for a Game Boy Color, limited run printed as the words Game Boy were, and then games printed how color was. So that's a very nice attention to detail, and I do like how well they translated an original Game Boy Color styled instruction booklet and packaging and all that into a Switch case. It's very well done. So open it up here. You even got the limited run logo here in the same style as Nintendo's seal of approval was on the old game. So that's a very nice touch as well. All the nice little touches of a Game Boy game translated into the Switch version is very, very nice to see. It's very well appreciated here. So it's a very nice colored, detailed manual here. We got a reading of the main plot of the game. And if you continue flipping around here in the pages, you got controls here, how you can play specifically with this version. Talks about how you can start a game. And you got some character informations here, like controlling the character, different move sets. Just a very nice looking manual. Something you don't really see nowadays with a lot of modern games. As manuals nowadays have kind of went the way of the dinosaur, sadly. You don't really have many manuals coming with games anymore. It's not as required for certain games, and then others, they just put all the information into the game itself via tutorial. So to save on cost, we don't see these anymore in physical releases, but when you do get a game with a manual, especially a manual like this, which is very well detailed, and it's in color, which is another thing you don't see if they include manuals anymore, it's just a very nice touch. And I like reading these every once in a while because you get information here in these manuals that they don't put in the games. These character descriptions you won't know unless you read the manual. So it's a very nice attention to detail. And it does translate a lot of the original information from the original Game Boy Color manual into the Switch manual. So it's a repurposed one too, and that's also very nice. So in the back here, one last thing, you have your notes section. So if you do want to take notes, you can put it here in the manual. Nowadays, I don't really recommend people doing this. Just write this down on a computer, phone, or just get a piece of paper. I don't like writing inside of manuals because I don't like to destroy these. I try to keep these manuals in prestige condition so they last as long as possible. So it's nice to include notes section. Not going to be using it personally, but it is good to see it's there. Now the last thing here is our cartridge. So let's go ahead and take this out and get a closer look at the physical cart of Shantae. So now looking close up here at the cart, we can see a nice detailed artwork here of Shantae. We have our usual information, got the limited run seal, E10 Plus, all that good stuff, but it's very nice looking art on a tiny little cart. I do like how, since the Nintendo Switch logo on cartridges are red, I do like how the logo blends in perfectly with the background here of Shantae, because the background is also red. It's not the same shade of red, but it's very close, so it is a very nice looking cartridge, and I do like how the colors just blend into each other, so it looks very natural. It's a nice looking cartridge. But there you go, that's everything that comes with the physical release here of Shantae on the Switch. Very nice looking inside of the case, really nice and detailed manual, good looking cartridge, nice looking artwork here on the actual cover itself. So I'm very happy with how they packaged the original Shantae here. So now with that said, that was the Switch version of the game we looked at. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the Game Boy Color reproduction cart of the game. Okay, let's go ahead now and unbox the Game Boy Color version here of Shantae. So this game originally released in 2002 on the Game Boy Color, and since it was such a rare game due to how late it released in the Game Boy Color's lifespan, well, as you can imagine, it's a very hard to find game physically in the system. So here we have the limited run games version of Shantae. So if we take a look here at the box, we can see, because it's a reprint, it has the limited run games logo on the side here instead of the Game Boy Color logo, and it even says here in the bottom corner, only from limited run, which is basically the same style Game Boy Color games were listed on their boxes back in the day, saying only for Game Boy Color. So it's a very similar box design to the original Shantae, except it does have some slight differences here. One of the biggest ones also is the rating here. Since this game needed to be rated once again to be re-released, now it has an E10 Plus rating on the box itself, which is different from the original Game Boy Color version. If we take a look here at the side, we can see we got the Shantae logo here and the limited run seal on the side. Same for if we flip it around for the other corner. The top's pretty much the same, and the bottom here has no real information, but that does make sense as it is just a fold in on itself from the very front. We take a look here at the back of the box, and you can see here some extra information. It says compatible with your retro handheld, meaning this will work on a Game Boy Color and even a Game Boy Advance system. This will not work with a Game Boy Micro, as Game Boy Micros can only play Game Boy Advance cartridges, and this is a Game Boy Color cart. We have a description of the game here on the back. We've got the characters here. Very similar back to the Switch version of Shantae physically. And yeah, that's pretty much it here for the box. So now it's time for what everyone fears as a collector. Now we're going to go ahead and open up our physical release. So I do have my trusty knife right here on standby. So just going to take one of these corners here that I see with one of the seals here. Just going to go ahead, create a tiny little incision, and now we will be peeling it back. And there we go, it's opened up. So now we get to see what the inside of this box looks like and get a good look at the cartridge itself. So I'm just going to take off the plastic seal. I'm going to go ahead and put away our knife now, as we don't need that anymore. And now let's go ahead and open it up here from the very top. So opening things up here, we can just pull everything out in one sleeve. And right on top here is our cartridge sealed up in bubble wrap. We're going to go ahead and leave this as it is, as there's nothing really in this container here. It's just the cartridge itself, so we're going to put that aside for now, because in the box there is still one more thing, which is the instruction booklet here for Shantae. So this looks very similar to the instruction booklet we had with the Switch version, but since this is for the Game Boy Color release of the game, there are going to be some slight differences. Mainly when we look at things like the controls, we will see right here, it shows a Game Boy Color. But notice how it doesn't have any of the Nintendo logos on it, like Game Boy Color or Nintendo, anything like that. That's due to licensing, as you would need to license out that information to put in your instruction manual. So, to get around that, you have a Game Boy Color that's not branded at all. But for the most part, this manual is very similar to what the Switch version has to offer here. Gives you a description of the game, how you can control it, descriptions of the characters. Overall, very nice and detailed manual, very similar to the manual you would have gotten back in the day with the original run of Shantae on the Game Boy Color itself. And this game is very special here too, since because it was such a late release, you could also put this in a Game Boy Advance to get some special unlocks, specifically an extra transformation. So this is a very special game on the system. It's a very different and unique release. I do wonder if the manual does touch on this feature, but again, it is something definitely worth reading into here. You have saving systems here, get your description of characters, you got a notes section, just like pretty much every other manual. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. I did not see a mention about the Game Boy Color compatibility, but I can go ahead and just show off the cartridge itself so you can understand how that works. So that was the manual. Very nice, very descriptive, and overall very nice presentation. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the cartridge itself here. So taking it out of its bubble wrap, here is our cartridge. So now we get a close-up look here at the cartridge here for the Game Boy Color re-release of Shantae. So as you can see here, it's a nice translucent plastic so you can see the board. Flipping around the back here, you can actually see a limited run logo on the board itself, which is a nice little touch there. And also you can see their logo here on the very top of the cartridge. Little hard to see, but if I shine the light on it just right, you can see it's engraved limited run there. And there is our cover art of Shantae, again with the limited run seal on it. You got your rating over here in the corner, although I have noticed that says E for everyone compared to what the box said, which is E10+, a little different. We have some extra serial information that does print to this being a limited run release. And overall, this is a very similar look to an actual Game Boy Color cartridge, as I do have one right here. This is the Game Boy Color version of Donkey Kong Country. So as you can see here, we have information on the side that says CGB for Game Boy Color compared to the Shantae release here, which is LRG for limited run games. So there is some discrepancies there. You can see the top says Game Boy Color on the cart itself compared to our re-release of Shantae saying limited run. That is a different touch. And if you flip on the back, you have Nintendo's seal on the cart itself and also on the board. Again, a little hard to see, but you can get the idea here. That has been changed for the Game Boy Color re-release of Shantae here, as again, this is all a licensing thing, so in order to put all that information of Nintendo on this cartridge, that would need to be an extra license being paid out. So to get around that, we have all limited run seals on here instead. So it does look different compared to the actual Game Boy Color cartridge of the original Shantae. But when you put this cart next to another Game Boy Color cartridge, you really can't see much of a difference. They look very similar to each other in almost every way. You have to really be paying attention to all these little nuances to know that there's a difference between these two types of carts. So now that we've taken a look at the Game Boy Color cartridge here of Shantae, I want to demonstrate what makes this game so special on the system. So I'm going to go ahead and put the cartridge into my Game Boy Advance SP here to demonstrate how this game works in a Game Boy Advance system. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my cartridge, slide it into the bottom of the system here just like so, click into place, and let's go ahead and turn it on. So booting the game up, you have your standard Way Forward logo, just like the game originally had on the Game Boy. But when you get into the game itself, we will now see a Limited Run Games logo there. And that's very different because this game was originally published by Capcom, so now they changed it to Limited Run Games as the publisher instead, having to take out that piece of code. But now you notice on the bottom of the screen, it says GBA Enhanced. This is what happens when you put the Game Boy Color cartridge of Shantae into a Game Boy Advance. You unlock an extra color palette and an extra transformation in the game, giving you more of an incentive to play this on a Game Boy Advance system. This is what makes this game very special on the system, and it's worth owning a physical copy of the game in order to play this, and also it's worth owning both a Game Boy Color and a Game Boy Advance to get the full experience. So this is a very cool and very interesting cartridge, and I'm glad to see that this Game Boy Advance enhancement still works with this reproduction cartridge. And there you have it. That was both the Nintendo Switch and Game Boy Color re-release of Shantae. Overall, I gotta say, these physical releases of Shantae are very, very nice collector's pieces. The Switch version, having a very detailed manual, very similar to the Game Boy Color manual, is a very nice touch, and it does make you feel like you're buying a Game Boy Color game in 2021. It does feel very surreal to have this kind of experience, especially with a Game Boy Color cartridge. Buying a brand new Game Boy Color game in today's market is very unheard of, but it feels very satisfying now to own a physical release of one of the hardest games to find on the Game Boy Color. For years, I was wanting to play this game on original hardware because of the Game Boy Advance enhancements, but unfortunately, I was unable to do so as I did not own a cart of this game. So having to play the 3DS eShop version, which is basically just the Game Boy Color game, you do not have access to any GBA enhancements whatsoever in that version, it felt like a watered down release of Shantae. It didn't feel like I was getting the full experience. But now I can get the full experience with the actual cartridge and play it on a Game Boy Advance. And not just that, but this re-release of Shantae on the Switch, having the GBA enhancements built into that release as well, gives me an updated version of the game with modern features to play as well, so I have the best of both worlds. I can play the original version and experience it how it was originally intended back in 2002, while also getting to play with modern age enhancements, making the experience a lot better in a lot of ways, and also more user-friendly as well. So, very happy to own Shantae on the Game Boy Color after all these years in a physical format. And once again, I need to give a huge shout out and thank you to my friend Matt's OP Adventures for gifting me the Switch version of Shantae we see here. I really do appreciate you picking up this Switch release for me, and now if you excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and play me some of the original Shantae. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.